What's going on YouTube? Bandit here, back again with another Diablo 3 video. Today, I've decided that I'm going to put out an Act 1 Legendary item gear guide. A lot of the times on my videos, I'll get people making comments, specifically for this video about the Ring of Royal Grandeur. They want to know how I'm getting all the set bonuses with only, 5 pieces of gear, 3 pieces of gear, whatever. And these guides are going to be more for people who are new to the game, not as familiar with the game, not the hardcore people who know everything about the game. So just keep that in mind. You might watch it and say, well, who doesn't know that? Trust me, there are people who don't know a lot about the gear that is available in the game. And I'm going to make this a series. I just hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you to everybody watching who has subscribed. And I want to do a series and put out some regular content now that I've hit that mark. And I think this will be a good way to go. As far as gear goes, I'm probably going to cover all the Axe, Heraldric caches, all the legendaries that you get from that. And then we'll move on to other items for other characters and things as well. Not only because there's some facts that you may not know about the gear, but also a lot of the gear has a lot of cool effects and cool animations and things like that. And I'm really big on things like that. I like to watch how the weapons look, how the skills look, how their special properties react on the game. So I just want to cover all that stuff with you guys, and I think it would be a good idea. So sit back, relax, hopefully you'll learn something that you didn't know, and without further ado, let's get right into it. First up, we have the Mad Monarch Scepter. This one-handed mace can be equipped on any character, although probably pointless for the Demon Hunter. And it will allow the character to release a Poison Nova that deals anywhere between 1050 and 1400% weapon damage as poison to enemies within 30 yards after killing 10. You will receive a buff icon above your skill bar that will keep track of the number of enemies you have vanquished. You will also receive credit if a party member kills an enemy as long as you have assisted and contributed damage yourself. Enemies that have been killed by other players, pets, and followers will not count as kills if you have not assisted. Any enemies killed by the Poison Nova will not count towards your next Poison Nova. And this will probably be best used with a strategy in mind. It's best to keep track of the kills on the buff counter and use on larger groups of mobs rather than wasting the Nova on 1 or 2. So if you're going into a group of mobs, you've got 8 enemies that you've already killed, and you see 2, 3 more, you're not going to want to waste your Poison Nova on those 3. Instead, you would probably want to run to a bigger group, kill the additional 2, and then you've got your Poison Nova affecting maybe the other 20 or so enemies that will be within the 30 yards of the effect. This will work great on your trash mobs, however, elites, things like that, will probably not get the full benefits from the Mad Monarch Scepter. And this will usually roll with your main stat, a % damage increase, as well as damage, and it will also spawn with 2 random magic properties. Now moving on to an item that most people should be familiar with, the Ring of Royal Grandeur. This ring will reduce the number of items needed for set bonuses by 1 to a minimum of 2. For instance, we'll take a look at our Demon Hunter here. You see that he has 5 pieces of the Marauder set, but he is only getting credit for 4 pieces. Now let's add the ring, and you'll see here that now we are getting credit for all 6 of the pieces. However, if we have a 2-piece set bonus, such as these Dinetta's crossbows, the ring will have no effect at all. Also, you will not get set bonuses for any gear if it is worn by your follower. The ring is going to roll with your main stat, attack speed increase, and life per hit, as well as 2 random magical properties. This is probably one of the most sought after and popular gear pieces in the game, as most people want to have their set bonuses with 1 less piece of gear, and it will free up a slot for another item that you can use to make your build even more beastly. Next up, we have the Pauldrons of the Skeleton King. With these pauldrons, there is a chance that you will be restored to 25% of your maximum life and cause nearby enemies to flee in fear when you receive fatal damage. According to the research that has been done that I've seen, this seems to proc about 10% of the time upon receiving fatal damage, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of internal cooldown, as these shoulders have procced more than once in quick succession. These shoulders are not recommended for hardcore players, as they aren't reliable enough to use in that game mode. With only a 10% chance upon receiving fatal damage, I definitely think that is not something that I would want to go with. Definitely not reliable as something that only has maybe a 60-second, 2-minute cooldown, because you're not going to be taking fatal damage all the time. So I would rather go with something that's got a cooldown on it that I know will proc when I receive fatal damage. So it would definitely probably be a better route just to use a different second life skill such as Awareness, Unstable Anomaly, or Spirit Vessel for more reliability. These pauldrons will roll with your main stat, armor, and 2 other random primary affixes. Next up, we've got the Golden Gorget of Leoric. This amulet is going to be similar to a Hana Voxo in the respect that it's going to summon some backup for you, not that you need it. After earning a Massacre bonus, 4 to 6 skeletons are summoned to fight by your side for 10 seconds. Skeletons will be a mixture of ranged and melee attackers, and they will do 100% of your weapon damage. Mostly found this useless, and a lot of people made a valid point that the skeletons show up after your massacre, which normally means the fighting has stopped, and you won't be getting the full 10 seconds of the benefit from the skeletons. However, there are times when the action doesn't cease, and they will have a full duration to assist. An easy way that you can get a Massacre bonus, which you will get from killing 10 or more enemies in quick succession, would be to gather or kite your enemies into a large group and unleash. It is also helpful in doing split bounties where several people are getting Massacre bonuses at random times. While most well-geared players will find little to no use for this item, it will best serve under-geared or new players who are trying to get away and step up from that yellow amulet that they couldn't find a replacement for and aren't having any luck finding in any regular rifts. This item will roll with your main stats, resist all, and either crit hit chance or crit hit damage, and 1 other random magical property. The last piece of gear we will be discussing in this gear guide will be the Sanguinary Van Braces. These bracers give you a chance on being hit to deal 1000% of your thorns damage to nearby enemies. From what I have gathered, these braces could be a little bit better. I've seen some people complaining that they're broken, they're not working right. I don't know if it's as much that as if it's just hard to tell beam thorns damage when it's proccing and how much extra damage it's doing. But you can determine the thorns damage by multiplying your thorns damage by 10. You can see here the thorns damage on my Demon Hunter is 4,095. We will multiply that by 10 and it will give us 40,950 thorns damage while we are using our Sanguinary Van Braces. And also you can tell that your thorns damage is being applied because there will be a little thorn-like effect that appears above the enemies when it is proccing. So for use with my Demon Hunter, even with them being an ancient pair, as you can see here, the 1000% thorns damage won't benefit me, seeing as my thorns damage isn't that high and there's only a chance for it to proc. I would much rather use a different pair of bracers that will benefit my build accordingly. So if you do have a good thorns build setup, these would probably benefit those a good deal. The bracers will usually roll with your main stat and crit hit chance plus 2 random magic properties with a secondary affix that does X amount of damage to ranged and melee attackers. A lot of people do like them, as they will sometimes roll with elemental damage as well. So much like with the Golden Gorget, these can be decent bracers to hold you over until you find a decent pair, or more appropriate pair for whatever build you're using. Lastly, as a side note for these Sanguinary Van Braces, I looked up the term sanguinary to see what its definition was, and it is sanguinary, involving or causing much bloodshed. Very aptly named for a thorns-themed piece of gear. Alright guys, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please feel free to hit that like button. It helps out my channel and my videos a great deal. And also, if you enjoyed the video and you are looking forward to seeing more builds more gear guides, things like that, please feel free to subscribe so you can keep up to date on when I will be uploading. Also, if you have any great builds that you're using with any of the gear mentioned in this video, please feel free to comment below. Till next time, guys, as always, y'all stay beastin'. Peace out.